Hi, this is Sean from Zero Props, and today we are going to show you how we go from this to that. Stay tuned. Hey guys, this is Sean from Zero Props, and today I'm going to show you how I took a Star Wars 48-inch Battle Buddy and turned it into a Halloween costume for my son. The first thing we did was we went to the store, and I wanted to get a good feeling even before I left, so I brought him with me and we stood him next to the figure, and I got a good feeling that it was about the same size as he was, so I felt confident enough to buy it and take it home. First step we did was take everything apart, screw by screw. So took everything apart so that in the event that it didn't fit or something was too hard to do, I could still put it back together and potentially return it if I needed to. But first thing I did was do a lot of sanding, a lot of cutting, a lot of dremeling. You'll find that on this figure there are a lot of features in here for support material and for structural material that keeps the parts together. And you'll find that on a lot of them there is actual heavy walls because there are joints that move. For example, the elbow joints, there's a lot of connections between the thighs and the legs and things like that that took me about 8 nights to complete. Now, for doing this, I used a number of different tools. I tried a hot knife, I tried the Dremel with the cutting wheel, the Dremel with the sanding wheel, and also sandpaper. I found with the best method was to use the Dremel with the cutting wheel and work it a little bit at a time, take off little bits of the sections at a time, and then using the sanding wheel to get down to as close to the surface as you can, and then finishing it off with sandpaper. So about 8 nights off and on trying to get this done before Halloween. Pretty successful. Now, a nice little surprise that you find if you do decide to tackle this project is the left arm is actually blow molded, so it's completely smooth on the inside, and there's very little work to be done. The only thing I did on the left arm was just cut off the black sections, and everything else was good to go. But unfortunately, it's only the left arm. Everything else you have to work manually. A word of caution: use your protective equipment. Do use your face masks and your eye protection, because there's going to be a lot of plastic flying around, a lot of dust around, so just be safe when you're handling this stuff. So after 8 days, a lot of cleanup, but once you're done, you're ready to assemble. Now, part of the things that I wanted to do, the figure itself actually came with a sound chip with a motion sensor that actually played sounds from the movie, and I wanted to keep that. I thought it was a cool feature, and I thought it was something that should be kept in. So, and if you look at the figure, the battery pack and the motion sensor are on this hip pack right here, and it's connected internally with the wires from battery, motion sensor. The activation switch is up here, and the speaker is up here. There's also an on-off switch that is right here. So one of the things I needed to do was I needed to separate the chest with the abs, because it did not fit my son, and it actually wound up being a little bit like so. So you'll see a little bit later in the video where I actually assemble the armor, that I used a piece of foam, a piece of white foam, to fill in the gap. So it maintained the look without having to see a black gap of his undershirt underneath the armor. So with the parts being separated like this, I wanted to keep everything all in one place. So I actually put everything together on the chest plate, so it makes it a little bit easier for assembly, and also for just keeping everything together so that you're not plugging and unplugging things when you're putting the armor on and off. So first thing I did with the sound control board, you'll find that the sound control board connects the motion sensor, and it connects the on-off switch, and it connects the activation switch, and also the speaker. Now, for my purposes, I only needed the activation switch and the speaker, so I didn't have a need for the power switch or the motion sensor. So the first thing I did was cut those off, and just I didn't need them, so I just threw them out. But since you are disconnecting the power switch, you do need to wire it in such a way where it is always on, because otherwise it's not going to make a connection, so your activation switch will not work. So I found the wires, I believe it's the first and last wire that you need to connect together, and I used a little bit of hot glue just to tack everything in so it didn't move, and it left it in a permanent on state. So the activation switch still works, and the speaker is which is right here, still works. So
drop the weapons now.
So it was that's how I did the soundboard. Now what I did on the back where the speakers were, if you buy the figure, you'll notice that these 5 holes are white. Now there is a little bit of plastic behind each one because I guess they didn't want to show the speaker or whatever the reason is, but I actually cut all of that out, but then you do see the speaker. So what I did was I took a little bit of transparent or acoustically transparent material, and I just glued it to the inside, which gave it a black look on the dots, a little bit more screen accurate look, but yet the speaker, the sound is still able to come through. So I believe I used helmet liner. It was stretchable, like stretchy helmet liner that was acoustically transparent. And I took my paint pen and I colored in the switch, so it gave it the 6 dots, or 6 black dots, that's a little bit more screen accurate to the movie Stormtrooper look. So another thing that I noticed was on the holster, on the leg holster, there was a feature on it that looked like that it was a little tab that you can hang the gun on. But of course the gun itself, it was not meant to hang, so I took the holster and I cut out the features here, and on the gun itself there were little tabs that I attached using shoulder bolts, and you can see here in the picture that when you take off the shoulder bolts, or actually when you attach the shoulder bolts and then you put them to the slots on the thigh holster, you're actually able to connect the gun and put it on the holster and then take it off easily. So, like that. Now one of the things that you will notice is on the blaster itself, if you do take apart the figure, the hand is actually molded in such a way that it's part of the handle, part of the grip. So when you take the hand off, it's just a little skeleton of the handle here. I didn't like that very much, so what I did was I actually 3D printed a handle. I went to Google and I just searched for the TK blaster for the first order Stormtrooper, and I just took one of the toy images and I just designed this in CAD and 3D printed it, painted it up, and then just glued it on. So it has a more finished look to it, and we have the holster shoulder bolts, an actual functional holster. Now I want to cover a couple things that I added for fit and function. You'll see later on in the assembly video, but I just wanted to show you that how I attached the leg, the thigh armor, to make it a little bit more maneuverable. So what I did was on both thigh pieces, I attached some elastic webbing here, and I attached it to a nylon webbing that velcros around his waist. So that provides a little bit of movement when he's walking, and the shin armor just goes on and it's attached to his legs, and it's held on just by friction, and also the forearm is attached just by friction. But I wanted to show on the back armor how I attached it was I had some Velcro strips. You can see I put some Velcro strips up here and on the sides here. So when I attach it together, it goes together like this. The shoulders attach together, and also the sides attach together with Velcro. Like so. And also from the shoulders, I have these elastic straps that come out with Velcro, and I'm able to attach the biceps to Velcro underneath. So it looks like this. And again, it's on elastic, so he's able to move, bend his arm, things like that. A couple things to note. I did take my paint pen and just kind of colored in some of the areas that I noticed were black, that the figure was not, just to make it a little bit more accurate. I am going to follow up with doing some more details, as I found some more screenshots with a little bit more detail, so I'm going to try to get that done before my son wears it next. So before forearm, chest, forearm, chest, abs. Oh, and also the gloves. I just had regular black gloves that I found, and I was able to cut the hand armor off and just attached it with a little bit of Velcro. He does have to put the gloves on first, and then slip the forearm over it, and then I attach the hand armor after that. So this helmet is way too small to fit any child's head, so I didn't even bother cleaning anything out. So what I did was I went online to see if there was a two-piece helmet available. I did find one, and I did buy I was able to find a two-piece helmet from Ruby's. It looks okay, but I think for the price I paid, I probably paid a little bit too much. But in all honesty, I didn't have any options in order to find a two-piece helmet to fit my son and also to go with the costume. I definitely didn't want to get the mask. I wanted to get something that had a back to it. But I paid about $25 for this. It honestly feels like it's only worth about $5 at that. The two-piece part comes from, there's Velcro on the inside edge here, and there's Velcro on the outside edge on the back, and you basically fit the two together and hope for the best. Of course, the first thing I did was I took the Velcro off, and I'm going to try to look for options to maybe permanently attach these two together so that he is just able to slip the helmet on. But I haven't gotten that far yet. That might be for a future video. But yeah, I mean, it looks okay, but I'm definitely going to take the mesh off of the eyes and probably do a smoke tinted visor on it. But that's for a future mod. So a couple other things worth mentioning. The knees I did not use because it didn't fit with the gap that my son had on between the thigh armor and the shin armor. But I did cut them out just in case I needed them. I just put a little bit of Velcro on the back, and if he grows taller where I can fit these, I'll use these. But for the meantime, I'm not using them. But if it's an option for you guys to use it if you want. The shoes, or the boots rather, were not able to be modified to fit his feet. So what I did was I took a pair of his shoes that had the lowest profile, and I took a couple pieces of foam, white foam, and I just added some elastic straps to it. So these slipped on top of the shoes, and those were our boots. So it's not really noticeable. If you guys use white shoes, it'll be even better, but I just used what I had, so it showed up, you know, pretty well. So that's it. That's the whole costume. So there you have it. That's my first order Stormtrooper costume made from a 48-inch Battle Buddy from JAKKS Pacific. And here's a couple pictures of my son at Halloween. He absolutely loved the costume, and it was one of the things that made it all worth it. So if you guys decide to do it, let me know how it goes. Let me know if you guys have any improvements that you made, and I just would really love to see it. So if you guys want to see, stay tuned for an assembly video where I will show you how the costume goes together. And if you want to hit me up on Facebook, I'm on Zero Props. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.